Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel outside the target demographic. Today I'm going to be showing you how I added some auxiliary lighting to the back of the Subaru, so let's get started. While we are in here, you'll notice I made a couple of mods. One, I put some aluminum foil over the light that exists, over the stock factory lighting, with the idea, the notion of hopefully reflecting all of that light, all 3 watts of it, into the cabin. But what I've done is I've ran the wiring down. I ran it through. I didn't even have to remove this panel. I just pulled this away enough to run the wiring up here. And it's not pretty. I'm a function over fashion kind of guy, as you may have heard a couple times. But what it allows me to do is, with a couple of these clips, they're just binder clips from Dollar Tree, it gives me the rear lighting of this. I call it halo lighting. This is a 6-foot long LED strip that I got off of eBay for about $10. I will try and leave a link in the description below. But I originally tried some double-sided tape. It didn't work too good, so we just have some mechanical clamps. It's a lot less likely for those to fail. The beauty of this is, one, you don't have access in the headliner for a ceiling light, so this adds to it. The other thing is, if you have a ceiling light, as soon as you reach in to grab something, you're blocking that light, right? Whereas this one, you have a light bar the entire width of your ceiling. It's going to light from this angle, that angle, this angle. So you will always have light no matter what you're grabbing. Second, it will also illuminate down on the ground as you're unloading something, as you're trying to load something, as it's raining, as it's snowing, as it's muddy, as there's puddles in the parking lot, as. So I have seen a light that you can install here, and I was considering getting it. This panel, there's a little slot right here that you can pry into, and you'd be able to wire it in the same manner. I want to say it's like $60, but again, it's a light right here, which is great. It will light your feet, but the problem is, once I stand here and I'm trying to get at my cargo, I'm now eclipsing this light with my head, and I cannot see my cabin. So I'm spending $60 on a light that 50% of the amount of light being displayed is being blocked, and 70, 80, 90% of what I would actually be using that light for, actually getting cargo out of my trunk, is being obscured. That's silly. So this is $10. It doesn't look great, but who's gonna see it? And by that I mean, also we have Christmas lights, reference power inverter. If we close this, you cannot see that light in there, because it actually, as the hood closes, will block that light. So much so that once you close this down, the light inside the trunk is actually dimmed probably half by a third, because you're blocking it with your top tailgate. So you have the benefit of lighting your entire trunk, as well as your pedestrian area, I suppose is what we'll call it. So this is what we have during the day. I will roll in a reference of at night. All you have to do, you ran the wire down. This is the existing wiring harness. The red and black, enhance. The red and black wire is going to be your negative. The pink is going to be your positive. And all I did is I pushed them into place. I didn't even have to solder it or anything like that. You can, and I will now that I'm in here, wrap it with electrical tape so it doesn't pull out. And then you'll just plug it right back into your anemic trunk light. And you can decide, here's the other nice thing, there's a switch right here. You have off is towards the trunk and on is towards the driver. You can decide if you still want this light to be on or off when your hood opens, but I usually leave it off, and it does not affect the functionality of this light. This light will always be on regardless of what you do with that switch. the last thing before we cut to the night view of this, another benefit. When this is lit up and your trunk is open, it's going to light up the ground. Well, I already covered that. It's also going to draw a ridiculous amount of attention to the drivers who, since you're broken down on the side of the road at night in the rain and a hurricane and the wind, what have you, the darkness of night, you're going to have a substantial, large, attention-grabbing, illuminated awareness indicator to let people know not to hit you, preferably. But it actually works, hundreds of yards away to let people know, hey, there's something there that probably shouldn't be, that probably doesn't want to be. Maybe I can attempt to not hit them. So back to this. If you remove this panel, which you can do without tearing your trunk apart, just a screwdriver, you can pop it free. Once you do, if you reach in there, you can push the one clip with your thumb. This is how I installed it the first time, and the light will come out. The light will give you access to that connector, which will be connected to this, and you can wire directly into your existing trunk light without having to go through the rigmarole of pulling everything apart. Once you get that wired in, you can have whatever color you want. You could get the new fancy hoity-toity color changing, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I like this one in that you do have the majority of the light is displaying from the bottom, and then you have this little ribbon going all the way through that will help illuminate out while the majority of your light is directed in. So that's what we have for that. Let's go ahead and cut to a nighttime view. Here we are later that night with just the license plate light. You can see maybe 15 feet away. So here's a fun thing too. $1.25 at Dollar Tree. Got some Christmas tree lights running off that power inverter. You can see my halo lighting is currently on, and you can just barely see into the trunk. When we pop it, substantially brighter. Oh, it's amazing. So here again, if I put this here and I lean in, I'm probably a foot away and it's still lit pretty nicely because I have essentially a floodlight going all around the contents of your trunk. So again, if you have a couple things of luggage or a rifle bag or something like that, it's range day and sun got away from you and you need to find something, you're not relying on a little 1x3 inch light put a foot above the cabin trying to illuminate all the way across. If you have one tall item here, you're blind. That lighting not only lights the entirety of your cabin all the way to the back, but again, if we look out here, I can now see individual leaves 40, 50 feet away, and minus the Christmas tree lights. Again, if you're broken down on the side of the road, you have a very attention-grabbing light across the top there. In addition to, and I've never realized this before, so you're experiencing this with me, your two license plate lights are actually pointing out directly behind you, which is a good way to, again, get attention and make sure that you don't get hit. But fantastic way to see individual leaves, rocks, keys, flashlight, anything that you may have dropped, in addition to being able to get to the entirety of your cabin very nicely lit. Individual little items are no problem to find with this $10 LED strip. So as always, this is outside the target demographic. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Any questions, comments, concerns you have, go ahead and leave them in the comments section below. This is outside the target demographic, and I will catch you guys in the next video.